Okay, yeah. Okay, I would like to introduce the person I'm interviewing. This is Joseph C. Lambert, who has been past master of Research Lodge many times, and has been probably the eldest Mason in Research Lodge, and has been supporting Research Lodge for the longest time of anybody's memory. Joseph C. Lambert came to us from out of country, grew up in Guyana, and has been a critical piece in Masonry evolution in Oregon. And so my name is Daniel Gray. I'm a member of Research Lodge and historian of Beaverton 100. And as a project in Research Lodge, we are interviewing Masons so that the history will not be lost. And we're using the equipment by the good graces of another member of Research Lodge, Brother Crowder, Jeff Crowder, who has brought equipment here and has been a critical piece in the recording business, putting the recordings up on a website called Masonic Youth Television. Have I got that right, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm changing the name, but yeah, it hasn't been changed yet, so that's good.
Okay, it is Masonic Youth Television, but it may change into something else.
Yes.
Have you got a name?
Masonic Youth.
Masonic Youth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just you.
Well, Joseph, I'd like to start at the beginning to get a feel for who you are and how you came to Oregon and all of that. But I'd like to begin with your early life in Guyana. And I believe that was the capital. You grew up in the capital of Guyana. Am I correct?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. However, Dan, let me just I can go on for all day about that, but I'm going to try to summarize it. Guyana is important, is part of the Caribbean, but because of its location at the top of South America, and because of the flow of water and all that, the physical location of Guyana, it's a kind of contradiction that is called part of the Caribbean, but it is.
Yes.
Because culturally, it was a former British colony. But in terms of the blue waters of Barbados and the other islands and so on, Guyana was not. And our rivers and everything that flow, the two main rivers that flow into the Atlantic, the Amazon on the left, the Orinoco on the left and the Amazon on the right. And these massive rivers flowing into the Atlantic made the water of Guyana, the seacoast, very muddy. Unlike the blue crystal water. And because of that very muddy and the shallowness of the mouth of the river, we didn't have the massive steamships coming into Guyana. The size came in, and that saved us from a whole influx of Europeans, white folks. It was the large ships that went to Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad never came to Guyana. So our colonizers, the British, were there, and we are accustomed to seeing white folks with the local, because they were the colonizers. But we were spared the West Indian Caribbean identity. We spoke English, and we know how the lords and the leaders and the rulers were white British, but there was not a profusion, and so that, I think I better stop right there, guys.
In Guyana, growing up, was it multi-language? That is, was there a native language, or was your initial language always English?
It was always English, but then there was always a broken spoken patois among the people.
Is that
But
right?
the base was for me, my father, my grandfather, and my great grandfather. We all grew up speaking English, but you will hear some terms that you would never understand when you hear them as a local. But the
Right.
official language was English.
That's excellent. That's the kind of thing I wanted, Joseph. That's exactly it. I had looked up Guyana in Wikipedia and was surprised to find it not tropical. I'm seeing pine trees. I'm seeing a landscape that looks more like Oregon.
No.
And I'm wondering, is it hot and dry like a Caribbean, or is it? Do you have snow in the winter?
That I don't, I can't, with total respect, I don't know that this belongs on this interview because I cannot help I can't help your lack of knowledge, or I can't help the mistakes that Wikipedia may have made. But that is not the Ghana that I know. Trust what I say.
It is more tropical.
It is totally tropical.
I see. Okay. Now, I remember we talked earlier, and you described your father as standing in front of a mirror, learning a ritual, and I'm wondering if you're comfortable talking about your father's membership in a fraternal organization.
I really, I'm not, with total respect, Dan. I think I said that, but with total respect, I am. My focus is me, Research Lodge, but those are, I call where this, if I allow you to continue, that is going to change the whole perspective when I start to talk about my father and all of that. It may be entertaining, but it's not really relevant to where my mindset was. My father was, I'm going to give you this little piece. He belonged to a different organization. He was a postmaster. He started off from the low rungs and in the country district, and they become postmaster. And so there were different stages of our life, but he belonged to another organization called the Mechanics. They were the Mechanic Lodge. They were the I don't know, other organizations, but the elite, top of the pile, Freemason organization.
So Freemasonry was considered to be in some way superior to mechanics?
It was and has always been. But I really said this is
maybe classier or something like that.
Yes, because that will come out. If I was expecting a question about my aspiration, because I got notes about this, about becoming a Mason.
Well, I was going to ask that next.
Well, then ask it and don't worry, my father.
Because I thought maybe your father's membership in a fraternal organization might have influenced you in what influenced you to become a Mason then?
No. What influenced me to become a Mason was aspiring to be one of the top dogs as I perceived them in Guyana. When I look at somebody that I liked and I respected, 90% of them, 95% of the people that I'm talking about were all black or Hindus. I go back to what I said originally. Because of the navigational limitations of the numbers of whites were very few in Guyana. They were there as the administrators. So the people of rank and status in my eyes, they were non-whites.
Uh-huh.
And so the headmasters, not the chief of police, but the superintendent of police, the harbor master, the people of importance were non-white. And when we find out what was the background of these men, they lived in nice houses, the top of the pile. The word got around that they were also Freemasons. And you know how we knew they were Freemasons? The way they were leaving. When I became a Mason, I understand what impressed me. These men, the schoolmaster, the harbor master, all colored men, non-white, they all dress differently 1 or 2 times a month.
They dressed up
they dressed up
for lodge communication.
For lodge communication.
Yes.
And I saw that at their posture. They rode bicycles. There were very few men with cars. And so I perceived this whole thing of Masonry. Mr. Prophet, Mr. Ogle, Mr. Ramprasad. These are the men I aspired to be like. At 18, 19 years of age.
So you were graduated from high school and now in your first job when you applied for Masonry.
I don't understand the question.
I was asking about your age when you applied to be a Mason.
Oh, no.
When you petitioned.
When I petitioned to become a Mason, I was an adult. I had left because I did not think that a young clerk or a young trainee school teacher could be a Mason.
Oh.
When after I left and went to England, went to college in England, and then returned with a bachelor's, with a BA honors in business administration. And then I got an appropriate job in Guyana. I'm not an attendance teacher. I was recruited back to Guyana now. And I got an appropriate job as marketing manager, Guyana Airways Corporation. Then I perceived to myself that I have reached the stage of education and training to try to become a Mason, because my aspiration, I told you earlier, the people who were Masons, the people that I aspired to, with the few whites administrators, they behaved differently. The headmasters, the judges, not the chief justice was white, but the judges. So I feel now I am qualified after I've come back. My name is in the paper. Joseph C. Lambert returned to fill the position.
So you were in management at that point?
I qualified to be manager. Now I feel that the salary and my status, your name is in the paper. My perception, when I got into Masonry, I find that not everybody was a top manager, but I perceived that I now have the necessary requirement to apply, to be with one of those fellas.
So how old were you then?
27, 28.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had pictured that. So you applied for Masonry and went through the degrees there, and were there 3 degrees, the same as here?
Dan, sorry. That little green book there is I deliberately brought that book.
The ritual book?
I have a ritual book too. But Masonry my lodge that I joined in the Scottish Constitution, Alpha number 1594 of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, they have the same ritual, not same, similar ritual. The words, they are the same in Barbados, Guyana, Scotland. Otherwise, the lodge would not be there. So, you are a Mason by recognizing the given degrees of Masonry. And the fact that my lodge, Alpha number 1594, is in that Grand Lodge of Scotland, Green Book right there, means that the passwords that you or any Mason in Portland, it's the same passwords, the same recognition, the same modes of recognition.
Same modes of recognition, but the ritual probably slightly
You said
different.
there are a lot of
variations there.
Right.
Okay. So your first job you had was in marketing for the airlines. What led you then to come to the U.S.? How did you end up here?
Okay. I'm going to have to summarize this because we can speak for an hour about that, but I wouldn't.
Okay, summarize it in
No, but I'm
less than 20 minutes.
I'm going to summarize it in 2 minutes. It is very easy in a country. The population is small, the leaders are well known, and there is something like the United States, called political parties. You have Republicans and you have Democrats and whatever. I got involved in politics.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm a politically aware person, but I'm not going to go into it because this is a Masonic interview, Dan. This is a Masonic interview.
I was really interested.
May I know, please? You may save that curiosity for when we have a drink at a bar.
Okay.
But I got involved in a political party, and it's easy to. And I joined a successful party, and then I'm not somebody to be quietly in a corner. And in addition to my paid salary job, I got deeply involved on the side in the political party.
Oh.
And when I was out of favor, Republicans here don't go dancing all the time with Democrats, I suppose, and vice versa. So I found myself at odds with the Prime Minister.
Oh no, really?
But you're not going to steer me down that track, Dan.
Okay. No,
But
that's an interesting track.
But it is. I did not feel there was nobody, and there are no assassinations and all of that. But I became politically ambitious. And then the party I was in power was not my party, and things became uncomfortable. And so I thought that it's time for me to leave. And because I knew I had a lot of contacts, I traveled. I was manager of the airline, and I could travel frequently. So then, in my 20s and 30s, I would hop on an airline and not pay.
Oh, really? Oh,
okay. Airline travel staff travel free, And so I thought that I would come to a country, and I chose here. Initially I wanted to go back to the mother country, where my English, I was a native of England. I wanted to go back, but England was too far away. So from Guyana I decided to come to the United States. And here is where in 1980 I came, and I've been here ever since, permanently. Now can we get on to Masonry?
No, I was going to get to that, but I thought I should ask you what jobs you had early on.
No, I don't. I really, with total respect to you. let us say that why are you taking me back so much to Guyana and I want to talk about Oregon?
No. I'm talking. I'm talking about your first jobs in Oregon.
No, well, I worked with the airport. There's all little things there. My official, I wouldn't talk about my unofficial jobs. I worked at the airport, and as a information officer.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yes.
that.
That is where the story of my masonry began, at Portland Airport. As I was upstairs. If you dial the airport, the chances are during that time you would hear my voice. Portland Airport. What time is the flight coming, or how far is it, or when, this and that? That's the job I did.
What airline?
No airline, the airport, the Port of Portland. The Port of Portland. And that is how I got all my Social Security, national insurance. I got my medical, all because of my 11 years at the Port of Portland. And there is where I made my first contact with masonry. One of the superintendents in charge of security at the airport, we had a lunch counter when we went for a lunch break, found out that my very posture, my accent, where are you from, Brother Lambert? We started, it's easy to get talking. And he found out that I was a Mason.
Do you have his name?
I can't say. I know I'm trying to remember, he was the superintendent and I can't remember his name now.
Okay. It
But
wasn't a past
No, it was not a
grandmaster.
grandmaster or nothing.
Okay.
It was just. But then, here is where it starts. He said, when are you on duty next? Joseph, he never called me brother. When are you next on? It's next Thursday. At what day? I was on the 3 to 11 shift. And here is where my story starts. He brought out a past master of Milwaukee Lodge. I think that was 87. His name was Al Philbrick, one of the tallest men I've seen, with a massive book under his arm. And that was the book. He took me in a corner. He said, "What is your name?" I said, "Joseph Lambert." "And what is your lodge?" I gave him Alpha 1594, and he opened this big, massive book.
He's looking to see if we recognize that lodge.
He said, "And this is the address, so and so and so." I said, "Yes." He just looked at me. He said, "Follow me into this room." And he spoke to this, the ticket counter at the airport. Spoke to "Could I use your back room?" He was going to test me now.
Oh, really?
He took me into the back room and he asked me a few questions. And to one of the questions, I will not say it on camera, to one of the questions I say, but it's very funny. Before he said to me, that you must begin. You must begin. And then I said, "Well, you have to put yourself in order." And this is funny to me because I have all of 5'6", and he was at least 20 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So imagine us.
So that was awkward recognition.
Yes.
I got it. I'm not going to say too much more about
Right,
that.
right.
It was physically awkward.
Physically awkward.
Yes.
And that is when my masonry in my head. He said, "Say no more, Brother Lambert. Leave it to me. and that was Al Philbrick. He passed the word on to Jack Armstrong or whatever they did. They wanted to know that he was satisfied that I'm a Mason. And the Alpha 1594 is recognized by the Grand Lodge of
Of England, UGLE, yeah.
Right. No, not England at all, Scotland.
Okay.
And the Grand Lodge of Scotland is in Amity. That's the word he used the first time I heard it.
Right, Amity.
Amity. Amity. It was in Amity with the Grand Lodge of Oregon.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't hear anything from him for a week. And he got in touch with Jack Armstrong.
Now, Jack Armstrong was probably master of Research Lodge at the time.
No. I don't know. I can't remember. He was... Chronologically, I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
I just remember the ball starting to roll from then. But what I did not know was that Prince Hall was not recognized, the Black Lodges. I was warned from Guyana. From Guyana, I was warned that the Prince Hall, the Grand Lodge, the Prince Hall Grand Lodge is not, and that was the word, was not the kind of lodge you want to be joining, because Prince Hall, the Black Lodges are not friendly with the Grand Lodge of Oregon. But there was a movement afoot. I did not start it. Joseph Lambert did not. The Al Philbrick and the Jack Armstrong, there was already a body of men who wanted to do battle with their own Grand Lodge.
Do battle.
With their own Grand Lodge. Call themselves the innovators. To do battle with their own Grand Lodge, to recognize Prince Hall. I could not, the great architect of the universe sent me here at the most opportune time to be a Black Mason who is recognized by whose organization is recognized by the Grand Lodge of Oregon. And they're going to use me to continue the fight for recognition. The great architect of the universe sent me at the right time to be totally used, happily used. That here as a Black man I visit many lodges to familiarize Oregon Masonry. That a Black Mason, funny accented, talking with a different accent. And I was a visitor of many lodges. I will stop there right now.
Does the name Herman Coupler ring a bell?
Yes.
Because Herman Coupler was the one who sponsored the resolution to recognize Prince Hall. And he was also, I just looked it up, Worshipful Master of Research Lodge. And so probably he would be central in this as well. Jack Armstrong was a member of Research Lodge, yes, and this was a strong initiative that Jack Armstrong was pushing, but Herman Coupler was also very much involved with this.
Is that a question? What?
Do you remember Herman Coupler?
Very well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you said we have approximately 10 minutes left. I don't know how to summarize this because I can talk all day about this. But Herman Coupler, Jack Armstrong, and Orny Rubin, Rudy Engel, most worshipful Quentin Estel, Al Philbrick. These are men that I stand out. But I got to talk about Lyle Logan for a minute.
Oh, good.
most I still speak with, we frequently, he has remained a friend. And I spoke to him last week and he calls me. But let me tell you what was the foundation of the friendship. Is that he was, when I became master, he was very instrumental. I will go back and tell you how I became master, but let me tell you what Lyle did. Lyle introduced, he was Grand Master when I was going to be master. I was already in Research Lodge. And this was 94. And I wanted, most of the installations were open installations. But for me, I came from Guyana, in the Grand Lodge of Scotland. I heard nothing about open installations like was current here. Most of the installations are open with wives and friends. But and the reason why I will never be installed, all my installations and subsequent in the lodge were tiled installation. Mm-hmm. And the reason why, we don't have time now, there is nothing more sacred for me, personally, than a tile installation after the master has been installed and the installing officer gavels up the lodge and all the members line up as the master stand and salute the master in the east in the 3 degrees. Mm-hmm. For me, when the masters line up, when the membership line up and the master is installed, and one by one you do the 3 degrees, 1st degree, 2nd degree, you salute the master. It has always been, and it still is, the most touching part of the installation of a master. So Lyle Logan, they said, no, Joseph, Brother Lambert's got to choose, either open or closed. And I had a big congregation of people there. It was an installation, steel band and all this. And I wanted to have a closed installation. Lyle Logan, worshipful master, called me up and said, Brother Lambert, I will grant a dispensation to you to have you installed in a closed lodge. And then you close and open again for the rest of the installation as an open installation. So the installation ceremony of 1994 mm-hmm. was the first double, that the permission that Lyle granted for me to be installed, close and reopen, for ladies to come in, and then to have the rest installed. Any more questions?
Well, no, you said something. You said something that really surprised me the other day. You said something about who installed you was strange, or there was an awkwardness there, and I didn't quite get what you were talking about.
Okay.
And it seemed interesting, but I didn't know where that was going.
Well, I didn't want to put this on record, but I will.
Okay.
The master, I was senior warden at the time, and senior warden, how many percent? The senior warden moves up to the east. But the master in 94 and 95 was Thomas Jackson. No. 91, 92, 93, Thomas Jackson. But when I was ready to be installed, I am in the West. You should be ready to take these anytime, but I was not ready. I knew the part. But Thomas Jackson, the master for the second year, absented himself. So I arrived for my installation and my friends are there. And find that I had to step up.
Uh-huh. So it was a move-up night for you. Your first move-up night, and you're doing
my
installation.
My own lodge. The master refused to install me to be the first black master, as far as nobody has said that.
Oh my, I did not understand that.
The first black master of a lodge in the grand jurisdiction of Oregon.
Right.
And he did not say it.
He did not want to be part of that.
He did not want to be part of that.
Yeah.
So when I arrived as a senior warden, expecting to be told by Jack Armstrong, the master is not here. And Jack grinned.
Oh, he would.
Yes, he grinned.
Yes, he would. He would love this. Yes.
You got to move up. You have to open lodge. Well, you could not see my knee shaking because I didn't come prepared. I came to be installed and have a month till January when I would brush up. But
you got that sprung on you.
I got that sprung on me.
Amazing.
And Thomas Jackson is indelibly etched. Absented himself from my first installation because he did not want to be for the first black man. And nobody has said it. It's not written anywhere. Mm-hmm. But that is it.
That's an amazing story, Joseph.
You have a question?
Yes.
Now, I only had one more question, and it was a question that I have not done before ever to a person interviewing, and that is how would you like to be remembered?
Oh. Well, that would be long, but I'm going to give you a brief moment. Part of what I just said. To arrive at the right time, fortuitously, when so much was going on about integrating, that there was a good network of men ready to break the color barrier in Masonry, and to be the willing tool to show the example. And I like to think that it was a very worthy cause. But I have Masonry as the base. I see it as the base that put good men together. And from that set of men, I got to the higher level of deep friendship out of Masonry. Because a lot of the ritual is that you should treat your brothers equal and never hurt your brother. But to move from brother to buddy friend, Masonry gave me that pool of worthy men from whom I can select a few buddy friends. Mm-hmm. And there was that pool and I like to think that I paid my dues in terms of helping my fellow men. I don't know of any brother with whom I associate with who has thought or done me evil. And I think that I might have conducted myself in a way to broaden the perspective of Masonry. I thought I like to think that I did not sully the name of Masonry. That's how I'd like to be remembered. I didn't sully the name of Masonry in any way, and I helped to establish the idea of there are black Masons in all around the lodges now.
Yes.
And I like to think that I'm a part of that.
Certainly were.
My question is, since you moved to Oregon, the United States and everything, how do you feel about Masonry now?
Much better. I feel much better about it. You, Brother Jeff, You, my most brother Jeff, with all your problems, you, for example, I'm going to use you as an example. I've never seen a hint, a glint in your eyes, or word that you said that did not show me that you feel comfortable and like and respect me. And I must have done something to cause you and others to have a positive idea about he did not sully Masonry. You're one of those people too. And I like to think that I did not sully the name of Masonry, and I added something to it. That's how I like to be remembered. Funny talking, short little man.
With a speech impediment.
With a speech impediment. Not a speech impediment, an accent.
Yes. You call it an accent. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, if you don't mind, I got just one follow-up question. I mean, what is your hope for the future of Freemasonry? I mean, do you see like more of a unity? I know, with Prince Hall and stuff, they're declining members too.
Yes.
And we're declining members.
Yes.
Do you see like a greater recognition, teamwork coming together maybe, or how do you perceive the future?
Historically, that's a big question, but I'm going to try to do it someway. It's going to be more esoteric for few men who climb the ladder of curiosity. People who are materially comfortable, because if you can't pay the rent and you can't do things, your mind is not free to go search. It will become more elitist, I think, and different. And remember when I started in Masonry, Jeff, I saw it as opportunistic, as part to aspire materially. I'm now trained in England. I got a degree. And the successful men, materialism, the successful men in Guyana were Masons. I said that. So there was a big lump of opportunism when I became a Mason, not the ideal at all. Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're going to get to that more. This is how I see the future. The material life is easier for most Masons than your grandfathers. Life was hard for your grandfathers. And as people have more material satisfaction, more health insurance, better jobs, a square meal before you go to bed, then they will devote more time towards seeking the esoterics. And this group is going to be a different group, a more elite group, physically comfortable. And that want to, well, I said it, more esoteric, less opportunistic than when I joined to be amongst the successful ones. There'll be a bigger group to choose from. Spend time searching. Don't have to worry where the meal is coming from.
Yeah, that's an optimistic view. Thank you for it. And I'd like to tie it up with thanking you for your time and the opportunity for annotating your history so that people years from now will know you and know this time and see what it's about. Jeff, I want to thank you so much for giving us the technology here to do this and interfacing us with the internet. And I want to acknowledge Wednesday, who is not on camera but has been running the camera. The person behind the camera is Jeff's daughter, Wednesday Autumn. I love that name. And so
Past Honor Queen of Bethel 1.
So the Crowders also are being added to the annals of Masonic history here. Thank you all.
All right, that's a wrap.